There's this fascinating way to look at life. You can either focus on the thing you want to fixate on what's blocking you from getting it. Simon Sinek has this brilliant story about two lumberjacks that perfectly illustrates this. Every morning, they start chopping wood at the same time. Every evening, they stop at the same time. But here's the kicker. One of the lumberjacks always disappears for about an hour in the middle of the day. Strangely enough, that same guy consistently chops more wood than the one who works non-stop. After months of this, the non-stop lumberjack finally can't contain his curiosity and asks, "I don't get it. We start at the same time, we stop at the same time, but every day you disappear for an hour, and somehow you always chop more wood than me. What's your secret?" The other lumberjack looks up with a grin and simply says, "Oh, I go home and sharpen my axe." It's not just about how much you can get done today. It's about how much you accomplish over a lifetime. Taking breaks, real breaks like disconnecting from emails, phones, and all the noise, helps you sharpen your axe. It's how you stay effective and keep your spark alive over the long haul. Simon has these 5 simple lessons for finding your spark and living it out. Let's start with the first. Go after the things you want. Let me share another story Simon tells that perfectly captures this lesson. One day, he and a friend went for a run in Central Park. It was a weekend, and the local road runners organization was hosting a race. At the finish line, as is often the case, there was a sponsor handing out free snacks, bagels this time. Volunteers stood behind picnic tables piled high with boxes of bagels, and on the other side, a long line of runners eagerly waiting to grab one. Simon turns to his friend and says, "Let's get a bagel." His friend glances at the line and immediately replies, "The line's too long." But Simon, undeterred, says, "Free bagel." His friend shrugs and says, "I don't want to wait in line." Again, Simon insists, "Free bagel." That's when it hit him. There are 2 ways to see the world. Some people only see the thing they want, while others only see what's standing in the way. Simon could see the bagels. His friend? Just a line. Without hesitation, Simon walked up to the table, leaned between 2 people in line, and grabbed 2 bagels. No one got upset because he didn't prevent anyone else from getting what they wanted. He simply found a way to get what he wanted without waiting. The lesson? You don't have to do things the way everyone else does. You can find your own path, break the rules if you must, just as long as you don't stop others from pursuing what they want. This mindset is liberating. Too often we get bogged down by the lines in life, the obstacles, the rules, the conventional paths we think we must follow. But those who dare to see the possibilities rather than the barriers are the ones who create their own opportunities. And this isn't about being reckless or selfish. It's about understanding that the rules aren't always as rigid as they seem. There's room for creativity, for bold moves, for finding your unique way forward. Whether it's reaching for the free bagel or sharpening your metaphorical axe, the principle is the same. Focus on the goal, not the obstacles. Here's the real takeaway. Life will always present you with lines. Long ones, frustrating ones, seemingly immovable ones. But those lines don't have to stop you. The people who achieve their goals, who live with purpose and spark, are the ones who see past those lines. They see the bagels. They sharpen their axes. And most importantly, they do it without blocking anyone else from their journey. Lesson 2. There's a powerful lesson that Simon Sinek shares, one that might just change how you approach challenges in life. It's about the importance of taking care of each other. Let me take you into the world of the U.S. Navy SEALs, one of the most elite and respected forces in the world. Becoming a SEAL is no small feat. The selection process is grueling, testing every ounce of a person's physical and mental strength. Naturally, you'd think it's only the strongest, fastest, and most confident individuals who make it through, right? Well, a SEAL once explained who does and doesn't make it through. He didn't describe a specific kind of person who succeeds, but was clear about the types who don't. Those who show up with bulging muscles and tattoos, eager to prove how tough they are, don't make it. The self-proclaimed leaders who love delegating but avoid doing the hard work themselves, they don't make it either. And surprisingly, even the star college athletes, who may have excelled in sports but never faced the depths of their own resilience, fail to make it. So, who does make it? It's not who you'd expect. Some of them are skinny, some are scrawny, You might even see them shivering with fear at times. Yet when they've given everything they have physically, emotionally, mentally, they find a way to dig deeper. But not for themselves. They find the strength to help the person next to them. That's the secret. SEALs aren't the toughest, the fastest, or the smartest. They're the ones who are the best at helping the person to their left and to their right. That's what makes an elite warrior. This lesson isn't just for SEALs. It's for all of us. Life is too unpredictable, too challenging to think you can face it all alone. It doesn't matter how capable you are or how strong you feel. There will always be moments when you need help. And here's the thing, there's nothing weak about asking for it. In fact, learning to ask for help and accepting it when it's offered is one of the most valuable skills you'll ever develop. Think about it. How many times have you struggled in silence, pretending everything is fine? How many times have you felt stuck, scared, or completely out of your depth, yet held back from asking for help because you didn't want to seem vulnerable? What if, in those moments, there were people around you who would have gladly stepped in to support you, but didn't because they thought you had it all under control? That's what happens when we try to shoulder everything on our own. We miss out on the incredible network of support that's often just waiting for us to speak up. The beauty of this lesson is that it's a two-way street. To receive help, you must first learn to offer it. Take care of others. Look for ways to support those around you, even in small ways. When you create an environment where people know they can rely on you, you'll find they're more willing to offer the same in return. And when you do muster the courage to say, "I'm stuck, I don't know what I'm doing, I need help," you might be surprised by the response. The people who love and care about you will show up. They'll step in, not because they have to, but because they want to. This isn't just about being kind or altruistic. It's about survival, growth, and connection. Helping each other is how we advance in the world. The challenges we face are too great to go it alone. And while your spark, the thing that drives and motivates you, is vital, it can only take you so far on its own. The question is, who are you going to ask for help when you need it? And just as importantly, when are you going to accept it when it's offered? The truth is, when you embrace this way of living, when you lean on others and let them lean on you, something incredible happens. You build trust, deepen relationships, and create a sense of shared strength. You stop pretending you have everything under control and start living authentically. And that's when the magic happens. People start showing up for you in ways you never expected, offering insights, support, and encouragement just when you need it most. Simon's message is clear. Take care of the people around you, and they'll take care of you. It's not just a lesson for the Navy SEALs, it's a lesson for life. Lesson 3, be the last to speak. Nelson Mandela is a fascinating example in the world of leadership. He's one of those rare figures universally regarded as a great leader. While opinions about other leaders may vary from country to country, Mandela's reputation is consistent across the globe. What's interesting is that his journey as a leader began long before he became a global icon. It started in his own community, as the son of a tribal chief. When asked how he learned to be such a remarkable leader, Mandela shared a simple but profound lesson. He said that as a child, he would accompany his father to tribal meetings. There were two things he always noticed. First, the elders would sit in a circle. Second, his father was always the last to speak. You've probably been told countless times that you need to be a good listener to be a great leader. But Mandela's insight takes it further. It's not just about listening. It's about being the last to speak. Think about it. How often do you see leaders walk into a room and immediately share their opinion? They might say something like, "Here's the problem, here's what I think, but I'd love to hear your thoughts." At that point, the damage is already done. Their opinion, stated first, has shaped the conversation. People either align with it or hesitate to contradict it. Mandela's approach is the opposite. Holding back your own opinions until everyone else has spoken does two powerful things. First, it gives everyone in the room the chance to feel heard. When people feel that their voices matter, they're more likely to engage and contribute authentically. Second, it allows you to hear every perspective before forming or expressing your own opinion. That alone can transform the way decisions are made. The key is learning to stay quiet and truly listen, not just to the words being spoken, but to the underlying reasons behind them. When someone shares an opinion, don't nod in agreement or disagreement. Don't signal your stance. Simply absorb what's being said. Your role is to ask questions, to dig deeper into their perspective. What do they mean? Why do they feel this way? What's shaping their viewpoint? These questions aren't just for clarity, they're for understanding. It sounds simple enough, doesn't it? But in practice, it's far from easy. How often do you find yourself wanting to jump in, to nod in agreement, or to correct someone mid-sentence? Resisting those impulses takes discipline. Mandela's lesson wasn't about silencing yourself indefinitely. It was about giving others the space to share before stepping in. And here's the beauty of it. When you do speak, your words carry more weight. Not because you're louder or more forceful, but because you've taken the time to listen, understand, and reflect. Imagine applying this in your own life. Whether it's in a boardroom, a team meeting, or even a casual conversation, think about the impact of being the last to speak. Picture the difference it would make if everyone around you felt genuinely heard. How much more meaningful could your contributions be if they were informed by a deep understanding of everyone else's perspectives? The challenge is practicing this skill consistently. It's one thing to listen and nod along. It's another to withhold judgment, resist the urge to react, and stay genuinely curious. Mandela's father didn't just happen to be the last to speak. It was intentional. He created a space where every voice mattered, where everyone felt they were part of the decision-making process. That's a hallmark of true leadership. This approach doesn't just build better leaders, it fosters stronger teams and relationships. When people feel heard, they're more likely to trust and respect you. They're more likely to collaborate and offer their best ideas. And when you finally do speak, your words are rooted in understanding, not assumption. Nelson Mandela's leadership wasn't just about the big moments. It was shaped by small, deliberate acts like this one. He practiced patience. He valued the opinions of others. He made people feel seen and understood. And through that, he became a leader who inspired not just his nation, but the entire world. Practice being the last to speak. It's not easy, but it's transformative. When you learn to hold back, to listen, to understand the why behind someone's opinion, you'll discover the power of true leadership. And when it's finally your turn to share, your words will resonate more deeply than you ever thought possible. Lesson 4. In the 18th century, something swept through Europe and later made its way to America that came to be known as puerperal fever, or the Black Death of childbed. Women who gave birth would often die within 48 hours. It was devastating, and in some hospitals, as many as 70% of women who gave birth didn't survive. This went on for more than a century, becoming an escalating tragedy. This was during the Renaissance, a time of science and empirical data, when mysticism and tradition were being set aside. Determined to find the cause of this tragedy, doctors studied tirelessly. They conducted autopsies on the women who had died in the mornings, then spent their afternoons delivering babies and making rounds. It wasn't until the mid-1800s that Dr. Oliver Wendell Holmes made a shocking discovery. The doctors themselves were the problem. By moving directly from autopsies to deliveries without washing their hands, they were unknowingly spreading deadly infections. When Dr. Holmes pointed this out, he was ignored, even ridiculed for decades. It took nearly 30 years before the medical community finally accepted that simply washing hands and sterilizing instruments could eliminate the Black Death of childbed. And that's exactly what happened. When proper hygiene was implemented, the disease disappeared. The lesson here is powerful. Sometimes you are the problem. Taking accountability is crucial. You can take pride in your successes, but you also have to take responsibility for your mistakes. It's a balanced equation. You can't have one without the other. Let me tell you another story to bring this lesson home. A few months ago, I stayed at the Four Seasons in Las Vegas. It's a truly remarkable hotel, and not because of the beds or fancy amenities. Any hotel can buy luxurious beds. What sets the Four Seasons apart is the people who work there. If you pass someone in the lobby and they say hello, you get the genuine feeling that they want to say hello. It's not some corporate policy they're forced to follow. You feel cared for. There's a coffee stand in the lobby, and one afternoon, I stopped by to grab a cup. The barista, A young man named Noah was extraordinary. He was friendly, engaging, and made the whole experience delightful. I had such a great interaction that I left him a 100% tip. Curious about what made him so enthusiastic about his job, I asked him, "Do you like working here?" Without hesitation, Noah replied, "I love my job." Naturally, I wanted to know why, so I asked him, "What is it about working at the Four Seasons that makes you feel this way?" Noah didn't miss a beat. He told me that throughout the day, managers, not just his manager, but any manager, would stop by to ask how he was doing and whether he needed anything to do his job better. He said it made him feel valued and supported. Then he added something that really stuck with me. "I also work at Caesar's Palace," he said. "At Caesar's, the managers are always focused on catching us when we do something wrong. I keep my head down there just trying to stay under the radar and get through the day so I can collect my paycheck. But here, at the Four Seasons, I feel like I can be myself." That right there is the difference between great leadership and mediocre leadership. As leaders, we often focus on finding the right people. We say things like, "I need to get the right people on the bus," or "I need to fix my team." But the truth is, it's not just about the people, it's about the environment we create. At the Four Seasons, the environment empowers people like Noah to bring their best selves to work. At Caesar's Palace, that same person with the same skills and potential feels the need to shrink and hide. It's not the people, it's the leadership. If you create an environment where people feel supported, trusted, and valued, you'll get the best out of them. If you create a culture of fear and criticism, you'll end up with people who only do the bare minimum to avoid getting in trouble. The difference isn't in the people, it's in how they're led. Leadership is about accountability, just like in the story of the doctors and the Black Death of childbed. It's about recognizing when the problem lies with you or the environment you've created and taking action to fix it. If you take responsibility for your leadership, you can inspire those around you to excel, just like Noah at the Four Seasons. When we prioritize care, understanding, and creating a supportive environment, we unlock the potential in the people around us. That's where true leadership shines. Lesson 5. There's a story about a former Undersecretary of Defense that carries one of my favorite lessons. He was invited to speak at a large conference, addressing an audience of about 1,000 people. Standing on stage with a styrofoam cup of coffee in hand, he took a sip, smiled, and then went off script. He said, "Last year I spoke at the same conference. Back then, I was still the Undersecretary." He paused, looking at the cup in his hand, and continued, "When I came to this event last year, they flew me here business class. At the airport, someone was waiting for me, ready to take me to my hotel, where they had already checked me in. I went straight up to my room, no hassle. The next morning, someone greeted me in the lobby and drove me to this very venue. When I arrived, they handed me a lovely cup of coffee in a beautiful ceramic mug." He smiled again and said, "But this year, I'm no longer the Undersecretary. I flew here, coach, took a taxi to the hotel, checked myself in, and found my way to the venue this morning. When I asked for coffee, someone pointed to the coffee machine in the corner, and I poured myself this cup into this styrofoam cup." Then he shared the lesson. "The ceramic cup was never meant for me. It was meant for the position I held. I deserved the styrofoam cup. The perks, the attention, the conveniences, they weren't for me. They were for the title." This is such a profound reminder about humility and gratitude. As you gain success, fame, or position, you'll notice how differently people treat you. They'll open doors, fetch you coffee, and offer you perks you never even asked for. But none of that is really for you. It's for the role, the status, or the position you occupy. You as a person will always deserve the styrofoam cup. It's not about rejecting the perks, they're there to enjoy. But you should always remember to accept them with humility and a sense of gratitude. This lesson ties into something we're seeing in today's workplaces and the challenges young generations face. We often demand so much from them, asking them to succeed, find themselves, build confidence, overcome technology addiction, and develop meaningful relationships. Yet, as leaders and mentors, we rarely take the time to consider the environments we've created for them. Too often, we blame the younger generation for being unmotivated, distracted, or hard to connect with. But as Simon Sinek says, the only common factor in all your failed relationships is you. If you're struggling to get the best out of your people, maybe the issue isn't them. Maybe it's you. We talk about building strong teams, hiring the right people, and finding top talent. But it's not just about the people. It's about the environment we create. If someone feels supported and cared for, they'll naturally bring their best to the table. If they feel criticized or neglected, they'll just do the bare minimum to get by. Leadership isn't about wringing performance out of people like you're squeezing a wet towel. It's about helping them operate at their natural best. That starts with practicing empathy. We live in a world dominated by social media and technology, and this has changed the way we connect with one another. On platforms like Instagram or Facebook, everyone looks like they have it all together. Filters make life appear perfect, even when it's anything but. People put on a tough front, pretending they have everything figured out. But the reality is most people don't. Beneath the surface, many are struggling with self-esteem, stress, and uncertainty. For younger generations, this is even more pronounced. Social media and smartphones release dopamine, the same chemical that gives us a high from smoking, drinking, or gambling. It's highly addictive. That's why we feel good when we get a text, count the likes on our posts, or refresh our feeds repeatedly. For many, the fear of being unfriended or ignored online is a real source of anxiety. Now, imagine this. Adolescents, already navigating the pressures of growing up, are handed these dopamine-releasing devices without any guidance. They become hardwired to seek validation from social media. Over time, they struggle to form deep, meaningful relationships. Many admit that their friendships feel superficial. They have fun together, but don't truly rely on one another. They know their friends might cancel plans if something better comes along. Worse, they lack the coping mechanisms to deal with real stress. When life becomes overwhelming, they don't turn to friends or family for support. Instead, they turn to their phones, social media, or other distractions that offer temporary relief. This creates a cycle of isolation and superficiality that's hard to break. The problem isn't just the younger generation, it's the systems and environments we've built around them. If we want to see real change, we need to step back and ask ourselves some tough questions. Are we helping the people around us feel cared for and supported? Are we practicing empathy and understanding their struggles? Empathy isn't just about acknowledging someone's feelings. It's about seeing the world through their eyes. It's about relating to what they're going through and making decisions with that understanding in mind. When we start practicing empathy, everything changes. We make better decisions, create healthier environments, and build stronger relationships. We often approach life in a way that prioritizes appearances over reality. It's easy to look like you've got everything under control, especially in the world of social media. But true connection and leadership come from vulnerability and authenticity. Admitting that you don't have all the answers, that you're struggling, or that you need help is a sign of strength, not weakness. It invites others to step in, to relate, and to build a real sense of community. Young people today aren't so different from us. They're human beings trying to find their way in a challenging, ever-changing world. Just like everyone else, they want to feel seen, valued, and supported. The more we approach them with understanding and empathy, the more we can help them build resilience, confidence, and the kind of relationships that truly matter. The lesson is clear. Whether it's about remaining humble, practicing empathy, or helping someone find their natural best, the key is in the environment we create. Leadership isn't about controlling or criticizing. It's about creating spaces where people can thrive. And when we approach others with humility and care, we all grow stronger together. I truly believe that loving your work isn't a privilege reserved for the lucky few. It's a right we all deserve. It's heartbreaking to think how rare it is for people to say, "I love my job," as though it's some kind of lottery win. You've heard it before, someone in your group says it, and everyone else responds with, "Wow, you're so lucky," but it shouldn't be that way. The vast majority of US should wake up and feel that same sense of purpose and joy in our work. It's not madness to expect this. It's what we should demand. We should expect our leaders to create workplaces where we actually want to show up. Environments where we care about each other, where it feels safe to express fears, concerns, or even mistakes. A place where feedback isn't something to fear, but something to embrace because we know it's meant to help us grow. And when we feel safe, when we trust that our leaders care more about us than just numbers or profits, something incredible happens. When leaders prioritize our well-being, our confidence, and our growth, when they care about us as people rather than just about short-term gains, something shifts. We respond in kind. We give everything we've got, not because we're told to, but because we want to. We go above and beyond, not for them, but for ourselves, because we feel connected to something bigger than just a paycheck. It becomes personal. It becomes something we're proud of. I say it all the time. Working hard for something you don't care about is called stress. Working hard for something you love, that's called passion. And passion changes everything. Simon Sinek's lessons remind us that change starts with us. Whether it's taking responsibility for our actions, practicing empathy, or finding environments where we can truly belong, these lessons aren't just for leaders. They're for anyone who wants to live a life of purpose and fulfillment. You have the power to create that for yourself and for others. If this resonates with you, if you're inspired to take these lessons into your own life, then this is just the beginning. Subscribe to this channel, stay connected, and let's keep learning together. Let's build a community where we grow, inspire, and support one another. Because when we do, the possibilities are endless. Hit that subscribe button now, and let's take the next step forward together.